Hi and welcome back to the channel. We're coming up to an Easter weekend, a long weekend. Perfect opportunity to catch up on some quality reading time. Maybe with some old favourites or some new releases. What's your favourite? Personally, I always enjoy a good mystery novel. Not one that frightens me into nightmares, but a well-constructed plot, a well-written tale, and no superfluous padding. And I thought to myself last year, gee, I've never written a mystery novel. Maybe it's time I had a go. Yeah, and I had some very positive reader feedback, I'm pleased to report. And I enjoyed the process and the research so much that I decided to write a sequel, as you do. So I'd like to give you a little taste of Loose Threads. The inspiration for this came from watching a news bulletin. And don't you hate the way we get our news delivered now? It was a short bite, and it didn't give us the who, what, when, where and why. So I had to make it up. The bulletin was about a car that went over a cliff. There was a body inside, it was dead. So I was forced to create a story that would fit. So the protagonist in the story is Annie, and she's a retired journalist. Here's a little taste. Chapter 3. Old journalists never die, they just stop sharpening their pencils. That's how the old adage goes, I believe. It's true. I think it's an inherent trait of a good journalist that they're always on the alert for an intriguing story, even when they're no longer paid to find and write them. I retired from the workforce a few years ago now. Everyone said, now you've got time to write your best-selling novel. Somehow, it doesn't hold my attention for very long. It's not that I've got writer's block. It's just that life itself is so very full of interesting stories, and some of them you just couldn't make up. Nowadays, you can find most anything you want at the click of a keyboard. In my earlier years, we had to go digging, knocking on doors, listening to gossip wherever it could be found, travelling to find it. Interviewing sources, willing and unwilling. Hard yakka. And it may be easier today, but there's also a lot of false trails laid that need to be analysed and discounted. And that can be time-consuming. But every now and then, when you're not looking for anything, a little thread of something pops up out of the blue and sends your antenna tingling on alert. And so it was the day I just happened to spot a social post about the death of a Queensland woman, with a photo attached. It took a few moments of close inspection before I realised it was her, the woman I'd met in a powder room nearly 40 years ago. My ears were tingling. It was time to get back into harness. So there's a taste of Loose Threads. Annie comes back in the sequel, which is titled Road Trip, and they'd make a perfect pair for your Easter reading. You can pick up those copies at any good online bookstore. In the meantime, have a lovely weekend, a happy Easter, and I'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.